Life is hard. It's hard. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard. When you're working on something and you put everything you have in it, and it doesn't work out, you lose your money and other people's money. It's hard. Here's what I discovered that happens to you in life, that you will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it, you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson.
I actually believe now that anxiety, if you can simplify what is happening, whether you are struggling to pay your bills, anytime you feel that alarm going off, or you have the nagging sense that something is about to happen, in the moment where you feel this alarm going off, what happened in that moment, you separated from the one thing you can't control, which is your response to it. In that moment, if you could take a breath and drop back into your body and go, wait a minute, I don't know what's gonna happen, but here's what I do know. I know I can handle it.
To get anywhere in life, you have to work extremely hard and you have to be disciplined. If you wanted to be a great piano player, there's no drug you can take, there's no self-help book, there's no guru. You got to spend 5 years, 10 years learning it until it becomes something that's second nature. There are no shortcuts. But if you learn that from an early age, you see after a few years that an incredible pleasure happens where now you have mastery of this piano and you can play things you could never play before. Suddenly the whole thing opens up, this whole new universe. And that's the paradigm for everything meaningful in life. If you learn something well, if you learn a craft and you master it, it can bring you a far greater pleasure than any kind of drug or any kind of going out to a party or socializing. But you have to be patient and you have to not be afraid of boredom and you have to not be afraid of the effort.
Everything in life that's hard is just a series of things that are easy. You just have to take that first step.
Life is really a single-player game. It's all going on in your head. You know, whatever you think, you believe, will very much shape your reality, both from what risks you take and what actions you perform, but also just everyday experience of reality. The world just reflects your own feelings back at you. Reality is neutral. Reality has no judgments. To a tree, there's no concept of right or wrong or good or bad.
Maybe you don't have the determination to be somebody better than who you are. And if you want to live with that, if you're good with being who you are, if that makes you feel good, nothing I can say to you.
Most people spend their entire lives afraid to even start because they are concerned about what people might think. They tell themselves all these stories. They're gonna get laughed at. They're gonna get made fun of. People are gonna talk. And guess what? They're gonna talk it either way. They're gonna talk if you go and try and look stupid and fall on your face, or they're gonna talk if you don't try and you become just a loser. So people are going to talk, they're going to laugh, and they're going to do it whether you go down the path or whether you don't. And so you have to ask yourself, do you want to go through all that humiliation and then have something to show for it? Or do you want to go through all that humiliation and actually be what they say you are, which is a loser?
Well, the story that we tell ourselves is a byproduct of what happened to us, what people tell us, I guess. So if that's the story, we start piecing together what? An identity. Oh, well, if that's my story, this must be my identity. Now that I know that's my identity, which by the way is a false identity, we go into life looking for evidence to validate that identity, and you will always find what you're looking for.
You have to be obsessed with the dream. There's not wanting it, there's kind of wanting it, there's wanting it real bad, and then there's obsession. I'm obsessed with it. It's all I think about. It's all I do. It's all I work on every single day. Champions have a clear plan for success and for achieving their goal. It's not just a random occurrence, because a lot of becoming a champion is about failure. What we get to see on TV is the end product of a very long process of ups and downs. but that process is a very long and difficult one. Sometimes life's gonna hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is gonna fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle.
You always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. People struggle to do things a lot. And the path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not with other people. And rather than fighting that or bemoaning it, see it as an indicator that you're on the right path. Because if everyone else were cheering you on, then it means you're not in the right place, because it means you're just like everyone else, and that's not where you want to be.
Feeling sorry for yourself gets you 0% closer to where you want to be. It does not move you even a fraction of a centimeter closer to your goals. You can sit there and feel sorry for yourself, or you can go get a win. You can be pissed off that something didn't go the way you planned. That's totally fine. But the way you respond to it is by saying, you know what? I'm pissed off that that happened, but I'm gonna get closer to my goals anyway. I'm gonna do something to move the needle anyway. And you know what? You're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel way better than if you just sat there feeling sorry for yourself. So if something doesn't go the way you plan, go take action. Go get a win somewhere else. While everyone you don't want to be is sitting there crying about what happened, you're out there already building momentum again.
Life is hard. Everything worth doing is hard. There is no easy path. Everything worthwhile is hard. You're no longer spending energy looking for this easy way. You're no longer being disappointed because the easy way didn't work. There is no easy way.
You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got.
You are going to regret not taking the hard road sooner. I know you have big ambitions and you want to do these big things, and that's great. But all those things that you don't want to do, all that work that you're avoiding is going to be the reason why you don't get there. What you fail to realize is that if you avoid the work, you avoid the result.
If you're gonna build anything great in your life, it's gonna be through force. It's going to be through complete, rigid dedication and discipline to move forward. And when the people come and they get in your ear and they say, take it easy, you're working too hard, you got to learn to go with the flow, just know that if you listen to those people, you will be exactly like those people.
And every day, the same answer came back to me. Do you want to be on your deathbed knowing that you could, but you didn't? So why do you care about what people are thinking when they're not trying to go where you're trying to go?
It's gonna happen when you get to the end of your life, or you get to a time where this is over. You're gonna have the greatest poison in your soul. You know what that is? Regret. I wish I would have did more. I wish I would have been there more. And you will never live in peace by living in regret. So I want to tell all of you, when it comes to success, make sure you make it holistic.
I may not know now, but one day I will, you know, and that's what faith is at its core. I may not understand right now, but I trust that one day I will. And it's not my job to try to understand everything. It's my job to continue to make the next step. Continue to just focus on this moment that I have in front of me. You must get excited. And not just the false enthusiasm of just pure positive thinking. You've got to get excited over some very basic things. One is, get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things. Because discipline is major step one toward personal progress. And anytime a person wishes to, they can make major changes in their life, personally and socially and financially. It doesn't ever have to be the same after today. No telling what you could do today if you really wished to.
I want to be the one that says, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I know I don't feel good today, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove to myself that even on days that it doesn't feel right, I push myself. The only way to gain confidence in yourself is to build something. It's not to wait for it to happen.
Whenever you think you can't, confidence comes from the thing that you built. You must build belief. You must build confidence. It can't be like, hey, I'm gonna knock that shit out. You gotta look over here and say, I can knock that shit out. It's belief, and it's built on what you put in to yourself.
Get up, move towards that challenge, whatever that challenge is. Move towards that challenge and go attack it. And you may be successful and you may not be successful, but you will be better. And the next challenge, you're gonna be more prepared for. And you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and then you're gonna win.
Don't accept that fact right now and you just continue to try to do things the easy way. When you eventually accept this reality of life, all you're going to be doing is left wondering, where would you be today if you had just taken the hard road sooner?
Faith is knowing the door is going to open for your life that don't even exist yet. Faith is knowing that the only possibilities that exist are the ones you create. I need you to believe with your faith. I need you to know if I'm doing the right things, if I'm showing up, if I'm watering the seed, if I'm taking care of my business, if I'm taking care of myself, then at the right time, maybe not your time, but at the perfect time that's meant for your life, that harvest, that crop, that dream, that vision, that purpose, that goal, that breakthrough is going to happen.
Every day you have an opportunity to be a new person. You can just wake up tomorrow and decide, I'm gonna be totally different. I'm gonna act different. I'm gonna talk different. I'm gonna behave different. Don't get so caught up in the sunk cost fallacy of being you that you never change and you never evolve. Don't let the amount of time that you've spent being who you are stop you from being who you could be.
I'm here to tell you right now, you're going to make it. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know you look around and see nothing but despair and defeat. You look at the scoreboard and see that you're down by 25 in the last quarter. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to make it, not because of what's on you, but because of what's in you. What's in you is somebody who doesn't give up. What's in you is somebody who knows what defeat tastes like, who knows what it's like to go through the trials and the tribulations, somebody who knows that they want to leave a legacy for the people to come after them, somebody who doesn't live their life inspired by ego or fame or accolades, but somebody who wants to make a genuine impact, who believes that leaving all people, places, and things better than they found it is a life worth living. That's why you're going to make it. So don't give in. Don't you quit on me. See this race all the way through the end.
The only way to become more successful than most people is to be willing to do something most people aren't willing to do.
You have to believe that this moment is preparing you for something amazing that hasn't happened yet. Keep going. And so I repeated that over and over and over and over and over again as I wanted to throw in the towel, as I would start to bash myself, as I would start to feel sorry for myself. I'd be like, nope, there's just no way I'm going to believe that something amazing isn't going to happen. I've worked too hard. Something amazing that hasn't happened is coming.
Don't let the amount of time that you've spent being who you are stop you from being who you could be. Just because you've been a certain person up to this point and people know you to be a certain way doesn't mean you can't change all of that right now.
When you're the absolute best, you get hated on the most. But never stop fighting. No matter what anyone says, no matter how they try to compromise your vision. If it's in your gut, if it's in your soul, there's nothing, there's no worldly possessions that should come between you and your expression.
In my life, I've learned that success has 3 components to it. The first, you must be diligent to get there. It requires waking up every morning, right on time with your alarm, going to the gym, reading the books, hammering away at your craft day in and day out. You must be diligent, knocking on its door until somebody answers. And second, you must be consistent to stay there. Because it's not enough just to knock on enough doors, get to the top of the mountain and look out at the view and say, wow, what a beautiful sight. You must be consistent if you want to continue to see that vista. But third, that's only one vista. There are many more peaks for you to climb. And if you want to climb more peaks, then you must be grateful.
Don't waste time chasing butterflies. Mend your garden and the butterflies will come. All of us have this tendency to chase, to go and push for all those things that we want in life. And what the quote teaches us is that the better path is to mend our garden, to actually work on ourselves internally, and those things that you are seeking will come to you. If you mend your garden, you become the magnet that attracts the things that you want in life.
There is a strange feeling that one is not yet in real life. For the time being, one is doing this or that, but there is always the fantasy that sometime in future, the real thing will come about. That one day life's duties will be out of the way and that you can finally start doing the thing you want and living your life fully is a myth. I think it's a lie.
You know, when you're standing at the edge of a cliff and it's most scariest to jump, that's when you jump. And when you leap, that's when the net appears. You know, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's doing it afraid. You know, that's also faith. Like, if you saw the net and then you jump, that's not faith. You knew that was down there. Faith is like, okay, I'm standing at this cliff. I don't see anything down there. I'm incredibly scared. I don't know what's gonna happen. And then you jump. And then the net appears, the power of faith.
That of huge steps is continuity. That one is your friend. Repetition is your friend. Not huge jumping. It is the repetition of things that starts to embody something inside of you. But ultimately, it's repetition.
If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
Take full responsibility for your life. Accept where you are and the responsibility that you're going to take yourself where you want to go. We have 2 primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them.
Well, you should be afraid of taking risks and pursuing something meaningful. But you should be more afraid of staying where you are if it's making you miserable.
All of us are born with nothing, no skills, no knowledge, nothing. We're a lump of flesh that can hardly hold our own head up. We can't take care of ourselves. And our job isn't to be great today. Our job is to build ourselves brick by brick.
Always having the end of the movie in my head and then filling in the script. I just had to write the script, and the script might change. There might be, call an audible and you have to rewrite the script, but the end of the script was always the same.
Self-doubt, worry, procrastination, overthinking, analysis paralysis, fear. Those are all thinking patterns that are habits. One of the most important things that I want people to understand is that you're actually not a worrier. You have a habit of worrier.
If you're not defined by a vision of the future, you're left with the memories of the past. And people literally believe in their past more than they believe in their future. That's why they talk about their past more than they talk about their future. People romance the past, are more in love with their past than they are in love with the future. And people who actually create amazing things in their life. Just were more in love with their future, and they kept it alive in their mind.
It's a luxury to pursue what makes you happy. It's a moral obligation to pursue what you find meaningful. And that doesn't mean it's easy. It might require sacrifice.
Still time on the clock. It's that one experience. He's like, oh man, I would never see myself doing that. But that courageous people, they do that. Yes. Yes, you can.
A lot of us are sitting around waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel courageous, waiting to feel confident, waiting for the right time. And that's not ever coming, ever. Is that, yeah, motivation is great if you feel motivated. It's a losing bet to wait to feel ready. I want everybody to understand that, first of all, you can't control the things that trigger you, and the fact that you're going to feel afraid and you're going to feel doubt and you're going to feel uncertain. You can always interrupt that feeling and take control in the moment and actually shift what is thinking and shift how you behave.
See, a lot of people want to exempt themselves from taking responsibility. All they want to do is talk about the problem. You want to take responsibility for your life. I got me here, I could get me out of this. So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life.
You don't want to be secure, you want to be strong. And you get strong by taking on optimal challenges. And so you lay out your destiny in the world, and you take the slings and arrows of fate, and you make yourself stronger while you're doing so. And you might fail, and fortune might do you in, but it's your best bet.
Cause is greater than effect. When people live at cause, what do I mean by that? Well, you know someone is living at cause in their life when they have the results that they want.
That is what separates the truly greats from everyone else. They're willing to put in that hard work. They're willing to reframe the question from what's the least I can do to what's the most I can bear. And when you're looking at yourself on that long timeline, and you're saying, what can I accomplish over the next 10 years? What is the amount of suffering and back-breaking work that I'm willing to put in and endure in order to become something extraordinary? That's the key, is you actually have to perform.
You're paying a price by sitting there being miserable. You might say, well, the devil I know is better than the one I don't. It's like, don't be so sure of that. The clock is ticking. And if you're miserable in your job now and you change nothing, in 5 years, you'll be much more miserable and you'll be a lot older.
Once you get over the fear of being embarrassed, no one likes to be embarrassed. But once you get over being scared of being embarrassed, it's super liberating. And it allows you to go into lanes that otherwise you wouldn't go into.
And when rock bottom hits, you don't have to hit with a thud. Oftentimes when you hit bottom, you bounce. And that's where I think the power is. When the world feels upside down, you always have the power to make it right. When one chapter ends, you always have the power to write a new one. When, you feel like nobody loves you, you have the power to learn how to love yourself. When you are forced to pause and get present and to slow down, you are reminded of what's actually important.
A resilient person is capable of standing up to things in the face of fear and moving forward voluntarily, convinced of their own competence and ability to prevail.
Starting out terrible at something, incapable of something, at being willing to put in the work to grind it out, to become that. And when people can move beyond the words, when they can transcend that and see what it means to actually put in work. Like really put your head down and do the deep work of getting good at something. At getting away from all the bullshit of people's judgments and really just turning inside and wanting to get good. Of asking yourself how far you can go. Of becoming obsessed with that process.
You can decide that you're going to change. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. I'm in charge here. You can decide I'm going to work on myself and develop myself. I'm going to empower me.
Most people stay in their jobs or working things, or even marriage or relationships, because they fear change. Can I do better? Can I get a better opportunity? Will somebody hire me? Will somebody date me? Will somebody marry me? Will somebody want my kids that I have? That's a fear, and people don't want to make change because they've already told themselves they can't do it. And when you make adjustments, when you stop yourself first, really say, because let somebody else tell you what you cannot do. But in the process of that, prepare for success. In other words, are you willing to put time in your next move?
Stop beating yourself up and stop judging yourself. We all go through chapters, right? Like sometimes you're super in love with your partner and like that's all you can obsess about, you know? Other times you're, super into your profession because you got a new initiative. I think this comes down to judgment. Stop beating yourself up. There is not even a close framework for what's right. Everyone's balance is massively individual, and more importantly, balance ebbs and flows forever.
It's that we are not just blessed, we are privileged. We are truly privileged. There are not many people around this planet who are this lucky. Yet majority of us chooses to live in mediocrity, and I've done that too. If we are so privileged to be this rich, and we're not comparing ourselves to neighbors, we're comparing ourselves to the neighbors far, far away on other continents, then why do we choose mediocrity? It's in our hands to actually do something, and we have to do something if we want to continue living on this beautiful planet.
To realize that you really can depend on yourself. You of course have to have many great people around you, but I knew that if it was going to happen for me, I had to keep moving forward. And maybe that was a stumble, maybe it was a crawl, maybe it was just barely trying to put one thing in front of the other during that time. But I kept pushing forward, I kept moving forward. And I think that's one of the lessons I still carry forward with me to this day. When I see things getting tough, or when I see things that seem insurmountable to other people, I know we just have to stay the course, we have to stay focused, and we keep putting one foot in front of the other. The key is to keep moving. And that's something that I think really was that turning point for me.
If you actually make pretend nobody else lives on Earth, nothing is scary. I think people got caught. I think they just get caught that everybody's in this framework of other people's opinions. It's how we're raised. This is why I put out so much content. Maybe today's the day that I say it a different way that makes people realize their mom and their girlfriend and their boyfriend and their uncle, and definitely anonymous people on social media, and Louis and Gary's opinions actually don't matter. Wow, the liberation to then actually do shit. And now you're doing shit full throttle because of whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter.
I have 24 hours in a day. I try to take advantage of every hour. And I have certain rules that I initially tell people on a regular basis. If you want to start living a successful life, start locking into a consistent time that you should get up every day. Don't let it deviate. If you say get up at 8 o'clock, don't hit the other snooze and get up at 8:30. I get up at 4:30. That's just my time. I'm not a happy guy getting up, but that's a goal I set. And I'm gonna just tell you this honestly. If you're about to make a change in your life and you feel uncomfortable, that's the best feeling you can have. Because for the first time in your life, you're making a decision that's gonna be best for you and not what somebody told you to do. And that's when all bets are off, man, because you're about to enter some uncharted waters that's gonna force you to challenge yourself to be perfect in so many ways. And shooting for perfection is all good. You don't shoot for average. Because you're not gonna hit all the time. If you shoot for perfection and you hit good or great, you're winning.
So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes when we think that we don't know the solution, we don't know the decision, it is not because we don't know. In my 42 years, I've learned that we always deep inside know the truth, but we're just so scared to face it.
There's a famous formula, which I'm sure you heard of, E plus R equals O, where E is the event, something happens to you, R is your reaction, and O is the outcome. And the only thing that matters is your reaction to whatever comes up. Because you know, in life, in business, stuff's going to come up at some point. You just don't know what it is. And it's all about your reaction, how you deal with that.
So to me, the biggest thing is the humility was such a factor. I didn't realize how big of a deal that was, how much that worked for me. Is like, I don't believe I'm as great as I know I am. Like, my logical side knows that I'm up to something, but I just don't internalize it. I won't let it penetrate my soul. I think I have the ability to be the biggest deal, but I will never believe it.
I believe anyone can change. It's never too late to change, and you can actually use the things in your past, use the darkness you can redeem it.
Every experience that comes your way is a tool. When we lost our home and we had to go live with my grandparents, I understood that these are just material things, that doesn't define you. It doesn't make you. So when you get these challenges, when you have these things that come up in your life, continue to move forward. Baby steps. Baby steps. Become intentional about what it is that you're going to do. Nobody in your family may have done that. Nobody in your community, your city, your country may have done that. But if that's what's been put here for you, take it in baby steps. Begin to see how that you're going to move forward. It's exactly what I did once I came and understood my purpose and I understood what it is that I was supposed to be doing. I sat down and created a plan as to how I was going to go about deploying that. And I think that's what you really have to do, and take it in baby steps. Don't try to do the whole thing at once. Sit it down, look at it, break it down, rebuild it, put it back together, and then assign time frames to everything that you want to accomplish and break it down in phases, and then focus everything you have on that phase.
You know, we're obsessed about this idea about every one of us has a talent. But the truth is that we are multi-talented. And if I compare myself facet to facet to facet, there is always someone who has different energy, who's better at this, who's better at that. But what makes me valuable is the combination of what I have. I don't have to compare myself. In fact, if I compare myself, that's the surest way to depression. I promise, if you want to try.
When you don't know where you're going in life, do not look 4 years down the line. Do not look 2 years or a year. You look next week, next month. You keep your goals short. And that way, as you accomplish those goals, then you can start piling up little trophies or little moments to know that you're actually accomplishing something. You're actually climbing the steps to success. Where people make the mistake in their goals, but a goal that doesn't allow them to qualify success quick enough. And so I always tell people, shorten your goals, shorten your window, and that's how you find your voice. You cannot find your voice if you're trying to, if you start coming to Hollywood to be a star. Or if you come in here just to be a star in entertainment, or you're going to college and you're trying to graduate in 4 years and what you're going to do, it confuses people. That's why a lot of today's millennials, they see short-term success as a faster way of finding their voice versus a college degree.
Those with the greatest hope have the greatest influence. And I love that. Like, there are two kinds of people in the world. There are people in the world that think the world is getting better, and there are people that think the world is getting worse. Who do you want to hang out with?
And then you assign the time frames. I think the time frames, the timelines are the critical piece to it, because that's where so many people go from just having a hobby or a dream. And I'm sure many people understand that dreams are tough, because without a time frame, a timeline,
they may just stay dreams. When you assign a time frame and a plan of action to it, it can become a goal, and then it can become attainable. And I think that's what you have to do and then makes it very present then. You have your work cut out for you, you know what you need to do, and now it's just about doing it.
Let's come out of this leaning into humility and gratitude, and that will be the springboard to everything you know. You know, just be grateful. Like, grateful for the time you're spending with family now, grateful for the innovation time, the thinking time, gratitude and humility.
First step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. Very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period.
I mean, there are no manuals, no shortcuts, no secrets. You write your own manual, you develop your own shortcuts, you find your own secrets. You go where you're drawn to go, and you learn by doing the work. I mean, if you're scared, if it all seems like too daunting, if the machinery of it all seems too big and scary and overwhelming, it's great. You wake up in the morning and you do it anyway.
Don't get better automatically. You only get better because you intentionally make a decision to get better. You have to go from being a person of good intentions to a person of good actions. That's the great separator.
Most important key to achieving great success is to decide upon your goal and then launch. Get started, take action, do something, move. The act of taking the first step is what separates the losers from the winners, or the winners from the losers.
There are times in life when you're going through a hard time and you think you're going through a test.
That's not the test. The test is, how do you go through the hard time?
And if it's a test that you are designed to fail, how do you handle that failure?
Your story is going to be the greatest story that's ever been told. I'm so glad that you got overweight. I'm so glad that your mindset's all over the place. I'm so glad you haven't been treating the people that you love the greatest. I'm so glad you haven't been working your ass off. I'm glad you haven't changed people's lives or making enough impact yet. I'm glad you got comfortable and complacent, because when you change, this story is going to be that great.
The understanding that winners write history, which means that no matter how difficult whatever the season that you're going through is, just win. Like, keep going until you win. And then once you win, you can rewrite whatever history you want. And that has gotten me through those harder periods, because I just knew that I needed to get through to the other side.
You really want something? You're gonna find a way, ultimately. And it might not be today or next year, or 5 years or 10 years, but this thing takes priority and precedent over all other things. When you don't want something as much as you think you do, of course, bro. Just like you said, don't nobody want to live a hard life. We all want to make life easy for ourselves, for our families, for our mothers, boom, boom. That's amazing. And the thought of that is amazing. Sometimes your desire might not be enough fuel. You gotta have a strong desire, and when you have a strong desire, that outweighs all other shit.
You are going to die one day, and every single person whose opinion you're afraid of is also going to die one day. And in 300 years, it's probably not going to matter to people whether you did the thing you said you were going to do, or you let people's opinion beat you into submission. And I got news for you, whether you do it or not, people are gonna say it. They're either gonna make fun of you for trying, or they're gonna say that you had so much potential and you just didn't try in life, or whatever. No matter which direction you go in, it's gonna come with some bullshit. You can put up with people's opinions and people's comments and actually do the thing you want to do, or you can put up with people's opinions and people's comments and die with regret. What you choose to do with your life, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else, isn't that important to people. Most people are just focused on their own shit, doing their own thing, worried about their own life. So f it.
There is no guarantees. Even if you work hard, there's no guarantee it's gonna work out. I do believe hard work pays off, but no one tells you when. And that's the test. Can you maintain your patience when you don't know when the end is coming. You don't know when it's going to pay off. You just believe in yourself, regardless of who believes in you.
Take ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Get control of your ego. Take ownership of everything in your world, the good and the bad. Take ownership of your mistakes. Take ownership of your shortfalls. Take ownership of your problems, and then take ownership of the solutions that will get those problems solved.
If it seems impossible, it's even better. You do it anyway. And as you go, like I said, remember that amidst all that machinery, you're the one who's going to make the picture. You and the spark. In the end, they're one and the same. You guard that because it's precious. Now it's time to get to work.
Maybe this chapter of your life is meant for you to do it alone. Maybe this is the time for you to practice independency, to do the things you've always known, but kept putting off for some reason. Maybe this phase is for you to be a little bored and lonely, because it might be what you need as you're putting the pieces back together. It might not be fun, but it's necessary, because in order to evolve into the next version of yourself, you need to find out who you truly are.
Everything you do, every choice you make, move you in the direction of what you say your vision is. And when you do that, the forces of life rise up to meet you. The reason why most people have such chaotic lives is because they're living in chaos in their head. And as soon as you get clear, it clears up.
You may be in your darkest hour. Know that night don't last forever. There's a morning coming in your life. Stay down till you come up.
There's actually two human beings in the bathroom every morning. There's you, and there's a human being in the mirror. And that human being is trying, and they've been there a long time, and they've been waiting for you to wake up and to see them. They're tired of your constant negativity. They're tired of you beating them down. They need you to be more encouraging. They need you to be more celebratory. They need your support. And when you finally wake up and create a moment with yourself every single morning where you look yourself in the eye and you see yourself and you forgive yourself and you honor yourself and you say, I believe, it is this remarkably deep and spiritual healing of connection that you've been longing for a very long time.
We get hurt, and either we don't want to deal with it because it's too painful, or we don't know how, which I think is often the case. And that hurt, we don't like feeling hurt, but without knowing it, hurt turns into anger.
Where's the opening for you? There's room for you out here. Out here in the arena called life, there's room for you to come out and live your dream. Don't allow that to keep you in the corner or keep you up in the bleachers looking at life, being a spectator, not being a participant, making a difference in life. I believe that all of us came here with something. All of us showed up to give something, and that nobody's going to give that service that you have to give.
Confidence comes from this, because the disease of lack of confidence is you're obsessed with everybody else thinks about you. What are they going to think? What are they going to think? What are they going to think? That's the symptom. The disease is you're worried about your reputation with everybody else because you don't have a good one with you. If your reputation with self is exemplary, you're not concerned about your reputation with others. So self-confidence comes from one simple thing. It comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. That's it. If you begin to consistently keep the promises you make to you,
one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made was to assume that everyone owed me something. Believed that I was entitled to an opportunity, to a chance to make a team, to be historical, to be remembered, to be honored. You see, entitlement is a problem because you think someone is supposed to give it to you. As I matured and as we grow, we realize that no one's going to give anything to us. We must earn it. We must put forth effort. We must put forth hard work. We got to overcome even our own limitations, especially those aspects of us that say, quit now. Because now that I look back over my life and I've learned what hard work is, I realize that if I put in real work, if I put in the hard work, if I only had this level of grind that I've learned now, then I would have succeeded then no matter what. No one can stop you from going after dreams, goals, and becoming something except for me and you. What we do personally, individual, matters.
It's not what happens that determines the major part of your future. It's not what happens. What happens, happens to us all. So the key is what you do about it. It's not what happens, it's what you do about it.
Life ain't fair to nobody. You just gotta fight through, man. You gotta bite back sometime. It's like haters. When you get haters, people's opinion of you is none of your business.
God uses opposition to position you for something greater. Because God knows when these things happen, you have two choices. You can let it break you or let it make you. It's because of the hard times that we are built. It's because of the struggle we are built. It's because of the trials and tribulations we are built. If it wasn't for those things, we wouldn't be able to grow more. But what a lot of us do, we take it as this isn't fair. We start silencing our gift. We start moving away from our greatness. We stop living the life that was created for us. And we let these things that were meant to build us break us.
And your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody.
You want to fix imposter syndrome and people pleasing? Learn how to stand in front of the mirror, give yourself a high five, demonstrate that you like yourself, demonstrate that you accept yourself. Because if you like yourself, you don't go out in the world and look for other people to like you because you don't need it. It's wonderful if they do, but the fantastic thing is if you actually like yourself, if you just accept where you are, you stop judging yourself, you accept yourself with some compassion. When you go out in the world, if somebody else disrespects you, it doesn't change the fact that you respect yourself. If somebody else doesn't like you or love you, yeah, it stings, it sucks, but it doesn't change the fact that you like or love yourself.
Most people don't lead their light, they accept their light. And when you accept your light, you are living on things that are not worthy of your time and effort and energy. To go uphill, you have to be intentional. Nobody ever went uphill by accident. You've never read a book on accidental achievements. You have to be intentional with what you do and where you are.
All good will be attacked. On this planet, maybe not the next one we get to, but on this one, all good will be attacked. Every garden will be invaded. Not to think so is naive. Every garden must be tended all summer.
Do you want the emotion or do you want progress? Because you can't have both. I'll give you an example. You're at the gym. You're curling. You're rep 8. And your body starts to fire off those signals in your brain and it goes, stop, it hurts. If you stop, you get the emotion, you don't get the progress. that where the pain starts is when the work starts. So you either get the emotion or you get the progress, but you can't have both.
But God gave you the light, and you just shining. Even when they try to stop you, you still shining. Even when they try to slow you down, you still shining. Even when they try to come against you, you still shining. Even when they use their tactics to try to hurt you and kill your vision, you bring more light to it and you keep shining. You have to understand this truth. I understood this in my life. Everybody ain't meant to handle the light. When somebody has darkness in their soul, when somebody has darkness in their spirit, when somebody is bitter and you becoming better, everybody can't handle the light of greatness. Everybody can't handle the light of calling. Everybody can't handle the light of you being who you are. You've been ordained to be able to do what you've been called to do. Everybody can't handle that because everybody ain't that.
I say to you, the universe is calling you. The voice of greatness has called me, and I'm afraid to answer.